So, just before we started recording, we said that maybe we should rename the podcast to "We Define Ourselves by Our Enemies." Do you want to describe? You want to tell us what you mean by that, Ari?
No, I just think it's more of a segment than a name.
Oh, okay.
Like, Enemies of the Pod is the name of the segment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And each time we just clarify further our list of enemies of the pod.
Right.
Okay, I was going to ask, when we declare war on a new person, are we concluding war with the previous person, or we're just adding?
I'm not sure you ever can conclude
It's
a public feud.
Yeah, you can't
You can't
say, "Oops, sorry."
You can't squash the beef?
Yeah.
No?
What is squash the beef? Where's that from?
Have you not heard? That's from my childhood, where they were saying when a fight's about to happen, you can squash the beef.
Oh.
Stop a fight before it happens or whatever. It was a big campaign. I remember a campaign aimed at young boys in Kansas, at least.
Okay, well, that's why I didn't see those.
There was a campaign in Kansas called Squash the Beef. And it was about reducing bullying in Kansas schools.
I think it was about reducing teenage violence, conflict, people getting into fights or scraps or whatever.
Yeah, we had
for
one
dumb things
with I don't remember the name, but it was sponsored by Jabot Jeans. And so I'll never forget that, because we had a school peace movement sponsored by Francois Jabot Jeans.
Jabot Jeans?
Yeah. You don't remember Francois Jabot Jeans?
No.
No.
Oh, that's a unanimous no.
That's a unanimous
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Well,
Maybe if I saw it spelt out or the logo, I would recognize it.
To our listeners, write in and drag my co-hosts for not knowing what Jabot Jeans are.
All those Jabot Jean heads get on your emails.
Can we just,
Jabronis, Jabots.
For everybody listening.
I'm sorry, you were about to say for everyone listening, and that just really cracked me up.
If y'all want to know, Ari's the only one who looks like he just rolled out of bed.
Okay. So we're enemies of the pod include each other. Got it.
Yeah. Civil war being declared.
Yeah, enemies amongst us.
So, I have a feeling no one is going to list enemies of the pod except me, but I will get us started.
Yeah,
Dr. Laura.
Well, of course, Dr. Laura.
Dr. Laura. Can you tell us why Dr. Laura is an enemy of the pod?
She'd make the list.
Well, I mean, she's an extreme conservative that masquerades as a feminist. Yeah.
But she's a woman.
Is she on does she have a radio show?
She had a radio show where people would call in and ask for I think it was relationship advice. I think I remember it being something like relationship advice. Yeah. And my mom and my grandmother used to listen to her religiously.
Okay.
And she just, if you're listening, Dr. Laura.
Fuck you, Laura.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Dr. First Name.
Who else are our podcast enemies? Enemies of the pod.
We have to get them all out now in case we stop making episodes.
Grimes. You said Grimes, right? Grimes is an enemy of the pod.
Grimes is my forever enemy. I hate Grimes.
What's your gripe with Grimes?
We're going to be canceled instantly.
No, we won't. It's really in right now to hate Grimes.
Oh,
but
is
I'm
it? Okay.
Still doing it. Okay, Grimes. I think there's the initial layer of just disgust I have for anything that is the stupid person's idea of smart. And she's definitely the Matrix of pop stars or whatever. It's it would be futuristic if part of my song was written by AI. That's how annoying she is.
Yeah.
And then of course, she named her kids X and Y, which is sickening. And I'm willing to go to war.
In space. War in space.
Did you get it? She's a not like other girls. She's a math and science nerd pop star.
Oh, right. Of course.
Her kids are named X and Y.
Oh,
they're coordinates.
Oh, they're coordinates. I thought we were talking about chromosomes.
No, we're going to Mars.
Oh.
And her kids are named X and Y. And those will be like the coordinates of the Mars landing.
On her children? The Mars landing is going to happen on her children?
No, why are you? I'm busy hating crimes. Like very incoherently and in a petty way.
Who else is an enemy of the pod?
Podcasts are bad.
Yeah, don't
Can
listen.
we do this?
Yeah, don't
as our
listen.
episode
Don't listen
theme?
to a podcast. Don't. Just go home now. Turn it off. Listen to some Grimes.
Yeah, why are you in traffic right now? It's whatever it is that you're doing, it's and I know it's not worth it.
Yeah. Stop your car. Get out of it.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
In the middle of the freeway?
Wherever you are, stop it, get out, and walk home.
Is that what you would make them do? Because that's what you clearly make people do.
Oh no, that's not okay. That's not okay. That's not okay. There are no callbacks to explicitly designated trauma episodes.
Oh, my voice got really high. My shame voice.
Oh, my heart. It hurts.
See, I will admit, when you first mentioned getting out and walking, I did assume you meant into the horizon.
Oh, yeah, you can go there. That's home.
No,
so go home.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. It's just not the mental breakdown I expected.
Yeah.
I figured if you were telling them to get out and abandon their car, if they go home, they'll think about where their car is. I feel like in order to complete what you're suggesting, they have to wander the earth.
Yeah, I assume there was some kind of an apocalyptic thing happened. Like everybody's stuck on a freeway trying to get out of town while there's like some kind of mutant alien behind you trying to murder everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that when you go home, your partner's going to ask where the car is.
Sure.
And the whole thing is just going to become really annoying.
No, you're right. I should have redirected people to wander the earth.
Okay, why don't
It's going to take longer to
Adrian,
get there.
can you please just like think about your jokes to the full extent of how everyone will take them before you say them?
Oh, now that sounds like a podcast aesthetic.
Everyone's playing yes and until Adrian goes, and then it's no wait.
No.
No, wait. Hold on. How does that exactly?
Yeah, that's implausible. Sorry, Adrian.
Okay. So I told the other hosts that if you don't want the podcast steered back to childhood trauma and porn every single week, to bring in some original bits. And we're now entering into the glow, the safe, shining prosperity of the bits that you brought in, because you all worked very hard.
Now, did you bring bits as well, or are you just going to be bit evaluator?
I'm absolutely on strike.
Oh, are you? Because I Googled questions from a dating.
No, I was on strike before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
He gave us homework. And I didn't do my homework until like right before. And it was a very lazy way of doing homework. But you know what? If somebody else is going to, like, if you have to do something, just let someone else do it for you.
To be clear, you let us know that you Googled questions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Google, what are questions? So that you'd have questions for the pod.
Right.
And then the other two hosts arrived and said, oh, you did that too?
Yeah.
Lauren,
Do you want
stepping on my ideas here.
It's okay.
which one was your favorite question that Google provided you with?
Oh, I know that article.
Yeah. This
No,
one.
I have no idea.
The article that I would be reading from is 50 amazing first date questions to spark a conversation. What was one of my favorite questions on here? That sounds like one of the questions that would be on here. That's very meta.
Now, hold on. Point of order. Are you throwing these out and everyone has to respond round robin, or are you targeting one of us with per question?
They're all directed at Adrian.
Only Adrian, but we're going to judge you so heavily. So, like, please take at least 5 minutes before you answer.
Oh my God.
No, some of the questions I don't particularly love are, would you go to space? I mean,
if I could kill Grimes there.
Well, she's put out her coordinates already.
Yeah.
She has her children with her, so you know exactly where she is. You just have to bring heavy artillery. Heavy artillery.
I would sell my house.
I mean,
so I could go on a SpaceX flight if along the way I could open the airlock and throw Grimes out of it. I don't mean that in a hateful way.
No, not at all. Who would take it that way?
Yeah. I would want to go to space, but also terrified of everything that would go wrong when I'm involved in the doing. Like, I would be Mr. Beaning it up there on whatever spaceship.
Explain what you mean by Mr. Beaning it.
I would just be whatever could go wrong. I would like my elbow would hit the eject button and the captain would go flying. You know, like some crazy set of circumstances where all of a sudden now I'm in control of this thing and I've no astronaut training. So
in your mind, you go up into space and you accidentally kill everyone else, and you're the only one there. But in like a fun, kooky way.
No, or if I don't die immediately from my own incompetence. Sort of but yeah, it seems like a fun thing to do where so much could go wrong at any point that I don't know that I'd enjoy it.
I love that. I love those situations where your life's in danger and everything could go wrong.
That seems like all I would be thinking about in space.
What could go wrong?
But I feel like everything. I mean,
is that your passive aggressive way of saying you feel very confident in space, Adrian?
No, I'd be concerned.
Okay. So you asked, but you agree. It's generally anxiety provoking to be in space, in the void of space.
Yeah. I mean, to go to any place that you've never been to before, you know, that's unknown.
But the question was, would you go? Would you go to space?
Yeah, I think I would go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Without being able to kill Grimes.
I mean, it's.
I'd like to think finds.
She's not on my list.
Do you just live your life in this?
I barely is the answer to that question.
With this constant questioning whether you're going to be able to kill Grimes if you go to the grocery store. You're like, should I go to the grocery store? Could I kill Grimes there? If not, then I'm not going.
If a portion of my purchase could be donated toward a fund.
No, not Ukraine. To kill Grimes. I will add $1 to this purchase. Consider it earmarked.
Starving children? Hell no. Kill Grimes? Yes, please.
Could you imagine a first date where they're like, hey, you want to go to space? And you're like, hi, hello.
That sounds
nice to meet you.
That sounds like a scotcha. That sounds like that sounds like something you would do on a first date.
I don't think I would. I haven't been on a first date in a long time.
Dude, I would. If I had the money to. Oh, yes. 100%.
No. If we're saying... how would you behave on a date? And I was proposing that Scott's behavior on a date would be to abruptly ask if they'd go to space.
Oh, I thought you were saying that he would bring someone to space.
No.
I was saying yes.
He'd ruin the date.
Oh, just instantly. She's like talking.
She's like, so anyway, I think that it was really important in life too. And I'm like, no. Would you go to space?
And no, just do you go to space?
Yeah, no. Like what? If you had a spaceship, you wouldn't use it to go to space. You just sit there. Because you asked if you had a spaceship, would you go to? Yes, 100%. If I had a spaceship,
you could decorate with it.
What?
You could just decorate.
I could.
You wouldn't just. You could fly around Earth, probably looking really cool in the spaceship.
Fair. Yeah.
It does sound better. Just going past everybody and going making like a Busta Rhymes.
Who is in space to care that you're out there showing off how cool you are in space? And
that's like having a Ferrari and cruising in a downtown area, 5 miles per hour, just sticking your middle finger out the window. You're like, fuck y'all, I have a better car.
You're just doing it from above.
So the best possible choice of what to do. The only plausible use of a Ferrari is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Wait, the only discussion we're having is on the question you said you weren't going to ask.
Yeah, I know.
What was one you were going to ask?
If this is how this is going to go, we're going to have a lot of fodder for this fire.
What's the jar though?
My jar? Good jar, bad jar is my idea.
Oh, here's a good question, but this is kind of I guess we were talking about dating. What's your biggest red flag? That was one of the questions I was going to ask.
Oh, biggest red flag.
I think if I'm trying to make jokes or be funny and they're just stone facing me, I'm like, oof, this is not going to go well. That's my main like attack formation. I gotta get out of here now. So I think if I get no response to attempts at humor, it's not like a red flag, like there's something wrong with them. It's a red flag, like, hey, this is a mismatch for me. Okay. That's my answer.
Yeah, biggest red flag is just like basically terrifying question.
That is a terrifying question. That's why the space question was so much easier for everyone.
Yeah, biggest red flag is like they're flinging me into space. Biggest red flag. Yeah, it seems like it needs to be like most common plausible red flag.
Well, I did have something very similar to what you were saying. I went out on a date with this woman and she literally didn't smile the whole date until the very last part, like 10 minutes maybe of the date. She laughed barely at one of my jokes and it was so off-putting. It was like that study when, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like it is like that study where babies, if you take a baby and you don't smile at them, and they'll eventually just start crying if you like make eye contact and don't smile. That was me. Like I was the baby and she wouldn't smile at me and I was like about to cry.
It's unsettling, right?
It's unsettling. I wasn't gonna cry, but I was gonna walk out. Yeah.
Okay. Biggest red flag. Did you do red flag already, Ari?
He said it was scary.
It was scary.
Oh. But he's still thinking. What do you got, Adrian?
I think like relationship with either parent is like a red flag for me. Like lack of relationship.
Well, we could never date then.
No.
No, we can still date. No.
Also,
we can still date.
Don't count me out, Lauren. Don't count me out.
I'm just saying.
We can still reconcile you with your parents.
Also, as soon as we start going out, just call somebody in your family.
Dad, Adrian said I had to call you.
I know we haven't talked in 15 years, but this is a requirement for our date.
So I'm calling you. I hope everything's okay.
Can I just put you on speaker and you say I love you and then we can get off?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. No, I think it's like, it depends, on the situation. Like if the person has done the work, like it's not a red flag anymore for me. But like if they're like, yeah, I have like the shittiest relationship with both of my parents. I've never been to therapy. Like that's a huge red flag because that shit is going to show up 100% in the relationship in various ways.
Oh yeah. Attachment issues. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's the subtitle of what you're saying is, have they been to therapy? And this is a room full of people that have all been to therapy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we named the podcast what it is.
Yeah.
What do we name?
Can I lay down?
Can I lay down?
Yeah.
So true.
I was just lazy.
Yeah. So your red flag is therapy. They must have gone to therapy or worked out their daddy issues.
Yeah, worked out those issues some way.
Attachment issues.
Yeah.
That's nice. What about you? Did we cover yours?
I do feel like if somebody doesn't do any drugs, it kind of pisses me off. I'm going to go with a mild red flag instead of trying to find the biggest one I can. I think whenever I see a dating profile that's like, I don't use substances. No.
Usually it comes from a place where they used too many substances.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think commonly? They always look so uptight. The people that I see putting it look like they're like, I'm busy curating my cabinets.
Well, imagine all the time that you would spend
using substances. I would not be able to finish. I have homemade noodles to craft, and substances will get in the way.
I mean, also like if I were to elaborate on that, I also tend to not be interested in dating profiles of people who say that they don't drink or do anything.
Yeah.
For me, that gets to the like if you've never had any like there's a certain amount of control that they have over their, how am I going to say this? They're anal. They're anal. They want so much control over their lives that they're not willing to let go of control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That kind of a thing.
That's just like a big lifestyle mismatch, like on the same level where like religion or politics or something like that, where you're like, oh, this is just going to keep coming up. If it's actually a thing at all, we're gonna do this dance over and over.
Would you ever date somebody that is of opposite religion from you, or is there like a certain religion that you won't date? Or
would you date a non-Medontist?
Yeah, Lauren, would you date a
Medontist?
Non-Medontist?
I think I would have a lot of trouble dating somebody who's very religious in any aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, save maybe Judaism, like unless they're like Hasidic Jews and they wouldn't date me in the first place. But like, I feel like Judaism is pretty like accepting a lot of things, like at the extreme.
Yeah.
But that's also because I'm most familiar with Judaism. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I would prefer to date somebody who isn't religious. What about you?
Same. Just because I've experienced it in the past, being married to somebody that was like super religious. It was just like a point of contention all the time.
Really?
Yeah, like having to go to church with her every Sunday was just not my thing. Sitting in the pew, just looking up and just being like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
it's definitely something I look for in a dating profile.
If she's listening, what would you say about God or religion?
Oh my God.
I would say.
Sorry, if God is listening, what would you say to him?
Her. Them.
Oh.
They, them.
Oh.
If you really want to drag women down by making them God.
I'm glad Jesus is a man.
I knew it was
be
a
able
woman.
to drag him down.
Yeah, I knew it was all a woman's fault. I've had that emotion for a long time. I'm glad I had that cleared up. Fucking bitch. Making my life shitty.
Yeah.
So, God is an enemy of the pod, apparently.
Yep. Another enemy of the pod, God.
Notch another enemy.
Dr. Laura, Grimes, and God.
Yep.
All right, so I did bring something. I prepared something.
They're quotes. I'm quoting. You can't see, but I'm doing air quotes. Okay, so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
The jar?
Scott did something. Did you bring the jar?
I prepared something, but I'm gonna underwhelm the shit out of Ari here. So
fuck yeah.
That's the subtitle of the podcast.
That is. Ari is underwhelmed.
What I did was I also Googled some lists of conversation starters. Would you rathers?
You all literally did
ideas.
The same thing.
No, hold on.
You all basically Googled what would it be like if I had an idea.
Are you surprised that all the people who you like to hang out with are very similar in the way that they think?
Oh, that's what we're going with.
Yeah.
You're all on the same page because you're so brilliantly synced and everything.
Let's get to the deep-rooted situation here.
I really like that it's my taste that's the problem. My taste brought all of you together.
You're the one judging us. Why?
Yeah. But so I printed these out. I sorted through them.
Oof.
And I looked and I figured out which ones I thought might be interesting to hit up on or not.
Oof.
And then I put good ones in the good jar.
For our listeners, there's a black jar that has yellow tape on it.
Our
that
listeners
says good jar.
don't care.
Yes, they do.
And this did not become a good idea because you went to the effort of putting it in a jar.
And I put bad ones in a thing.
You are going to be a horrible father.
Okay. Granted. It's very
that is a red flag when people say that to me.
It's very discouraging. I put labels on jars, and my effort is being poo-pooed. If this was
put the good jar in the bad jar, and then retire the segment.
If this was the extent of my effort, I would be insulted. But it is not, because of course it's a segment. So I came. Hold on a second. Let's see.
Oh, we have music. Can't you just like?
I'm gonna get a hernia.
Good jar. Bad jar. Good jar, bad jar.
I
have
fucking love
segment
that.
music for it.
I
Scott.
can't even deal with how much I love that.
How
And how big the eye roll was from Ari.
How did we get so goddamn lucky?
I don't know.
Oh, I love torturing Ari, and it makes things for the podcast. It's a double. It's great.
Scott, you
fine.
are a gift.
So I'm
You
just
are a
saying,
gift to
I'm
this
just
world,
saying, if
Scott.
it stalls out, or if you want to punish someone, I have a mechanism over here that we could try.
It's fine.
Well, can we wait? We're already on Good Jar, Bad Jar. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, bring
I'm
it.
okay through whatever happens. If I
Are
ever
you?
need to take a break, I just kill Grimes again in my own mind.
I figure the content could be from talking about it. The content could be about making fun of me for selecting this, or for how I divided up which ones are good and bad.
Why does the good jar look like a trash can?
Well, it says good treats on the side of it. It's like a dog treat thing.
I
And
would
this one has a
love if
spider.
both of them
It's
were
bad.
actually just like empty and we talked about this for like 40 minutes
It
and then
was
he opens it and
Pavlov's-
he's like, by the
Pavlov's
way,
jar.
oh no, it's definitely not empty.
I
There
have-
are so many things he printed out.
I paid my daughter in candy to do the folding for me.
The twist is the good
That's
jar
so
is empty.
sweet.
It's really busy.
I got stuff happening.
There's a lot in those jars.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. I couldn't set it up for myself or
Like,
aim
right-
it anyway.
I'm imagining this is like hours of effort now.
No,
Ari, do you want to do the
This
honors?
is like a fortune cookie situation
what
too.
jar do
Like
you
the
wanna pull from?
fortunes
I
in
don't
there.
I don't want to touch this trash segment. All right, just give me.
I
Let
have
him-
no idea how this
let
is
him-
going to go.
He's
These
gonna,
might be
he's
terrible.
gonna he's gonna pull it out with his
I'm gonna
pinky.
throw the good. Okay.
Oh, you
All
got
right,
it.
I'm gonna read this.
This is not
He
good.
almost, for our listeners, he almost vomited.
This is bad.
He picked from the good jar.
Oh yeah,
What do you got? I classified
you
this
have
as
to
good.
you have to read
so
it
you have
out
to have a
loud.
good conversation from this.
Oh, you have to forcibly good conversation.
This is gonna be good for so many chuckles, you guys. So many,
Oh my
so
goodness, chuckle.
many mild chuckles. Bad bosses. A lot of us have had bad bosses. I hate this already. A lot of us have had.
Did you anticipate liking it ever? Like, was there a point at which you pulled out that piece of paper? You're like, this is going to go well.
No, but I am experiencing it now like a slow acid. A lot of us have had bad bosses, but at least they make for good stories, right? Yeah. Yep. Comma. Bad bosses are a podcast topic idea many can relate to, so you won't have any shortage of listeners to tune in or share their stories.
That may have been one of my earlier ones.
I would rather have a cancer with Grimes' face.
Living on your nipples.
I would rather have cat AIDS of the throat than ever be a part of this. What?
This is what
Success.
Ari, this is what happens when you tell us to do things. We disappoint you.
Oh, you. If you wanted to train me to do everything, good work.
Do you want to see how different it is in the bad jar?
Yeah. Can I pull from the bad
Please,
jar?
yeah.
Okay. I'm pulling from the bad jar. That
These are
looks
ones
like,
that I thought were like,
was this
or cringeworthy in some way, or I don't know.
was this
I don't know
cotton candy?
what would
Like
get
a-
something into the bad jar.
Was this a Halloween themed cotton candy jar? Was that what it was?
Yes, it
Fuck yeah.
was.
Spotted.
Wait, I do have a bit about a bad boss.
I
Please.
hate you so fucking much.
Okay.
Literally the moment
This is
that
a
I was
short story.
like literal
Lauren, the pod is still
milliseconds.
about you, I promise.
Literal milliseconds before I was gonna read my piece of paper.
The pod-
You were like, no, I have a fucking story.
Lauren's in the middle of her a controlling moment. Okay. This is a very short story. My friend Max. Should I say that? Yeah. Okay.
No, edit out. Your friend.
No, it's fine. My friend Max used to work at American Apparel, and he had a disgusting gay boss who explained to him his word for butthole. And it was spider pie.
No. Oh no.
As in, if you want to use it in a sentence, I'm gonna get me a slice of that sweet spider pie.
For our listeners, for
Not like,
context,
hey, hey,
Ari
Kevin.
also
Oh my
classifies
God.
himself as a disgusting gay man.
Edit me out of this episode. I'm realizing it's just kind of dawning on me that
Not-
I'm the problem
No.
after telling that story.
Spider pie.
All right, Lauren. Did Bad Jar pay off? Was it?
Wait,
Is
did
it
I do
bad?
bad jar?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Bad jar.
I don't understand how this is bad jar.
Bad
What is
jar.
something popular now that annoys you?
Oh, I think I just thought that was Bad Jar.
Grimes.
Already answered.
Nailed it.
Ari's 2 for 2 on jar questions.
Yeah, why can't anyone handle the?
It's really Ari's sweet spot.
I don't see why that question is bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Like, what made you decide that this was a bad question?
Wait, what is the question? I didn't.
Maybe that's why it's bad because it's not memorable. What is something popular now that annoys you?
I think I couldn't think of anything popular now. So got
Oh,
Oh, that
Bad
sounds
jarred.
that sounds right. You're
Yeah.
like Kelly Clarkson.
I like Kelly Clarkson.
I know that's the joke.
Now that annoys
That's a
you.
joke that you're so placid.
oh.
If you could see Scott right now, for the listeners, he's a fan of Kelly Clarkson. Sorry, what were you going to say, Adrian?
I'm just trying to think of something popular right now that would annoy me.
See, it's a bad jar.
I get it. Yeah.
It's a
I mean-
stopper.
Oh, here's one. There's this video of there's a video sound that people use of like some dude like wheeze laughing, and it's behind so many videos, and it's meant to be as like a laugh track on top of videos to make other people laugh, and
Mhm.
it is not funny at all.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that annoys the shit out of
I
me.
probably have heard it.
It's like
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That's
that's
it.
It's from
Yeah.
that. Is it from that famous clip
Trying to
of that
juice the video.
Spanish speaking
yeah.
fellow who's like being interviewed and is laughing hysterically?
maybe I don't know what
Maybe.
it's from.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, that's really annoying. Most of the things that are popular now that annoy me come from like Instagram and TikTok videos. So,
Mhm.
Makes sense.
and then also, I hope nobody. No, maybe I shouldn't say this.
Can always cut it
Nope.
out. Can always cut it out.
Ask me what
We-
annoys me. That's
we can always
popular.
cut it
Okay, Ari. What is something?
GoFundMe videos for medical injuries.
Yeah.
Back to work.
Yeah.
Back to work.
Yes. Or GoFundMe. Just GoFundMe like anything really. It's just I am not a big fan of shaming me to give my friends of friends money.
It's interesting that the name of the website is in order,
Lauren's-
directed at me.
Lauren's a
It's
real
kind of rude.
libertarian minded. She's like, everyone keeps their own stuff. Like nobody shares with each other.
No, I'll help somebody, but like don't send me a link in my Instagram of a friend of a friend.
Lauren's actually the CEO of ifundmyselfthankyou.com.
FuckyougetyourOwnmoney.com.
GoFundYourself.com.
Have one individual visitor per month. one unique visitor.
One unique visitor should be the name of this pod. That's a good name.
That's such a good
One unique
name.
visitor is good.
Oh, can we rename it now?
It is possible.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that are popular that annoy me. Do you want me to elaborate? Is that why you were looking at me like that? Bright.
No solicitations. No
the-
takers.
The sudden surgence of brightly colored clothes everywhere. Blech, throw up. Like
No?
anything coming back from the 90s makes me want to vomit. When they tried to bring back low-rise jeans for 5 seconds, no,
Yeah.
thank you. Not and chokers, the plastic chokers that children were wearing for like a hot second recently that came back from the 90s.
Hmm.
Oh my god, I can't. Like anything from my like high school days that people are trying to bring back. No.
The cycle's like 20 years, supposedly, right? So it's just the late 90s stuff right now would be hitting full stride. I'm sure it got
The early 2000s.
sidetracked from COVID for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you think sex is better wearing jellies?
It sure smells different.
I miss those.
Yeah.
I miss seeing girls in jellies.
Oh my god, like the mud that existed between my foot and the sole bed of those jellies.
dirty,
like-
highly active lesbian jellies.
They were called jellies because that's what was between your foot and the bed of those shoes.
Is that what evolved into Crocs at some point? Eventually, is that the same
Oh,
sort
that's a
of?
good question.
Jellies
idea.
are basically like princessy jewel toned Crocs.
Yeah, it was like one person was like, "We have too much plastic. Let's make shoes out of it." I think it was actually created by the Foot Fungus Corporation. like,
Oh, the corporation.
that one corporation that
make all
tries
the
to get
foot
rid of all the
fungus.
foot fungus. They created jellies so that they would sell more products.
I thought it would be a lobby. I didn't know they had a business.
No,
I thought it'd be the Foot Fungus lobby
No, it was
going to Washington. but I didn't
definitely
know-
capitalism.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. What are their products?
Foot fungus off.
okay.
Fungoff.
Fu-
You're welcome.
I asked for it.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Reach for the bad jar, Scott.
Yeah.
Well,
bad
I don't
jar.
know.
Which
We've
one
done
do you-
one bad jar, one good jar. I
Adrian?
feel like good jar let us down.
Adrian, take us to the good jar.
All right.
Take it to the jar.
Well, it got to Fungoff, so it eventually got to Fungoff.
I cannot validate the quality of these.
Okay.
You made them. You literally hand curated these questions. You're like, nope.
It's fine.
I
shrinking
take
away.
zero
I'm
responsibility for
shrinking
this.
away from any.
That's
Did
Scott's
did this end
certification
up
of
in the
everything.
wrong jar?
Yeah,
Is
see?
is that a bad jar question?
I mean, yeah.
If it's in a jar, it's bad.
Not,
Let's see what happened. I might think it's great.
Yeah.
Would you cut off your little toe for $1 million?
oh, 100% yes.
That's in the right jar.
Yeah.
That's in the good jar.
Wait, maybe not.
Tell me more, Scott.
I like this question.
The real question is, why is this in the good jar, Scott? That's the question that the jar discovered.
I
Yeah.
like this question as a go-to question. I have used this question before in
Is this-
like my English teaching days.
oh, I was going to ask if this is how you landed your wife.
No, but in
Okay.
Japan, I had to for a point in time, I had to go in and like conduct conversation classes with just whoever showed up. So one of the times I went in and I didn't have anything, I was just like, would you sell your pinky toe or whatever for, like 1,000 yen or something low? And they're like, no, of course not. I'm like, yeah, it's an easy question. But I'm like, if I keep adding zeros at one point, and they're like, no, there's no point. And then I got the conversation started where people were like, yeah, there's probably a number. And then they started negotiating. So I think it's a fun question. Also, I think it's one of those, like, if you're really honest questions, you can be like, yeah, there's probably a number where I would mutilate myself to a certain degree or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun one.
Yeah, I do. I'm feeling my little toe right now, and I would definitely part ways with it for $1 million.
You'd
I think I'd do.
be a worse swimmer for sure, right?
No, you don't really use your feet
I'm
very
a-
much for swimming.
Scott, I'm already a fucking terrible swimmer. I don't know if I could get any worse.
Now you'll be the millionaire terrible swimmer.
I don't have Michael Phelps' feet. I don't have his wingspan.
Your feet, you
Yeah.
actually don't use your feet too much in swimming.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. use
I
my
mean,
feet
you'd be a
that
bad
much.
runner.
Would I?
I
What-
don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. If it would
They
make
say
me
it's
a-
like really useful in balance in some way. I don't know.
Is it?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't balance.
I mean,
well
if it would
anyway.
make me a terrible dancer, I might think twice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. The amount of times I've stubbed and broken my pinky toe, I might give that up for $1 million.
Oh yeah. So you would pay.
you would pay $1 million.
Lauren would pay some money to get rid of her pinky toe.
That is not what I said.
That's what I heard though. So we're going with it.
Fantastic. I like this podcast.
I mean, you'd fit more jellies. You'd fit a more wider variety of jellies, and they'd be cleaner.
They would be one less toe.
Less
one less toe.
Yeah, less little flipper filth dredgers.
Yeah.
That's what I call them. Little filth dredgers.
So maybe it's an easy question. Maybe it's just. I think I've been in crowds before where people are like, no way.
My sense
But
of
I
that
was
question
like, yeah.
is that the real question is, would you do it for 100,000 or not?
Right. Where's the line?
Because $1 million, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, would you do it for 100,000? Because at least that's like, see, Adrian just bailed. Adrian bailed.
I bailed
Oh,
on
no,
100
absolutely not.
grand.
Not 100 grand.
I'm
Uh-uh.
thoroughly on the fence. First of all, you have $100,000 and a great story.
True.
I would fuck anyone who told me that that's how they got $100,000 immediately. They would begin to explain it to me, and I'd be like, oh.
What if it was? What if it was Grimes?
God finds a way to send me a message.
You're leaving yourself vulnerable to somebody who would just pop off their own toe and then come at you with the story.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. Guess what happened?
Any fans of the pod missing a toe can lie to me and get a BJ. But you won't deter me from killing Grimes.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay,
right.
so did you pick
I think
one?
it's my turn to go bad jar. We've done 2 good jars.
So we've established that the jars are reversed.
They're sort of. I think they're good, but I should
have known this because of Scott's taste.
Yep.
That the jars would be reversed.
Yep.
That is such a good bit.
Yeah, it is.
That is such a good
That's like
bit.
the premise
It's
of
not-
this whole thing is that he has. Yeah. Continue.
It's not my bit.
Fuck you guys! I'm going home.
I'm
taking my jars with me.
All right, so this
Don't
is
touch me.
This is classic bad jar right here.
Oh, okay.
How would you kill Grimes?
What food represents your personality? Come on. That's a terrible bad jar question.
That's a great question.
What food represents your
I
personality?
love that
Just to
My
question.
be
answer is
contrarian.
obviously cornbread, but what about everyone else?
Cornbread.
Yes.
It's like side dish, perpetual side dish. That's
I'm
what
a-
you're. That's what you're saying.
I'm a very homogenous
Like-
perpetual side.
Like you can't actually eat it by itself because it's that boring and dry.
Yes. Well, I enjoy a coating of, I enjoy a pairing with some gravy or some sort of a sauce.
Scott has to be paired with something substantive.
Something else that does all the moving work. I'm just going to be the stationary crumbly guy.
Scott just admitted he's a pillow princess.
Wait, what is that? Did
Ex-
I? What is that?
I definitely need to know what a pillow.
You don't know what a
princess
pillow
is.
princess is?
I
What's a
need
pillow
to know what a
princess?
pillow
Oh,
princess
okay.
is.
Well, maybe it's just a queer woman term,
It's
but
definitely my new sexual identity. There's a bottom line here that's being met.
a
immediately.
pillow princess is just somebody who lays there and gets sex done to them and participates zero.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Pillow princess, party
Like,
of one.
When you say lack of participation, do you mean like there's no like response? They're not like groaning or like letting you know if it's good or not?
Yeah, I mean, like they could, sure, like very, very minimal feedback. Yeah.
Admit it, you
Okay.
love a verbal pillow princess.
No,
I wasn't
because
serious.
no,
But
I
you
don't.
went in. Listen, I'm no pillow princess. If you're missing a toe, I'm going in and I work hard to suck.
Yeah.
So what food represents your personality then, Lauren? If this is a great question,
Oh,
My personality.
that's what. Yeah,
My personality.
you can say it's a bad question. I won't get offended. I'll be complimented because it came from bad jar.
Risotto. Because I'm temperamental and it comes out wrong no matter what you try to do.
and it takes a really fucking long time to get you warmed up.
Sold.
Adrian, what food best represents you?
I feel like it would be like a stew or like a warm curry, you know, something that just like warms you up and feels like home, you know?
I thought you were going to say a darkness burrito.
It's a callback. Just a burrito in the dark corner.
Just a shamefully eaten burrito in the dark
Quietly nibbling.
after having killed someone.
Oh, right, because we're all murderers. That's right.
No, it was Adrian's
Capable.
confession that
That's right.
I mean, I guess I've confessed this episode that I'm a potential murderer.
Literally every food that came to mind was some kind of like Jewish comfort food. So, like noodles with cottage cheese,
Like
Yeah.
matzo ball soup.
matzo ball soup.
Next question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what mine would be. I mean, it's a good question because I have no idea. I have to think about it for a long time.
Well, it's a bad question because you have no idea and you'd have to think about it for a long time.
Why is that a bad question? You just don't want us to deep. Oh, it's a bad question for the pod because
bad
it's
jar.
not good. Yeah.
I don't know.
Lauren,
What?
your elderflower syrup.
Oh, that shit was good. Oh yeah. Maybe I'd be a cocktail. Yeah. If I was a food, it would be my like favorite cocktail, which is gin, elderflower liqueur, and lemon
Yeah, you're
with
kind of.
soda water.
I think you being a cocktail is good. You're kind of body,
That's good. Nice. Thanks.
body and sweet.
Find out about mysterious Canadians and what they do in secret.
They just put poutine all over everything. Smother it with poutine.
Is that like gravy or something?
It's French fries with beef gravy on top and cheese curds.
You know how people hate the word moist and panty?
Yeah. Yeah, poutine's a bad one.
I hate that word. I think that word is so disgusting.
It is a pretty disgusting word.
It doesn't sound like food.
No.
It sounds like mucus.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need to
Yeah.
like, just flood my nose out.
I mean, it
And
kind
there's
of
going to
looks
be a lot
like
of
mucus.
poutine run off.
It looks like what it's called. It does. Yeah. Just lots of very glistening gravy.
Enemy
brown
of
gravy.
the pod, poutine.
Oh no.
No.
I like poutine.
We are never going to get sponsored by
gonna
cheese
be
curds,
banned in Quebec.
French fries,
Or gravy.
We're going to be banned by anybody who loves Tim Horton. Okay. Oh, here's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll direct it at anybody. What do you think people like most about you? I got a thumbs up from Ari on that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get any.
It was like a
thumbs up.
nod. There was a sigh of relief. Got a little soft on. Tip the hat.
What do you? So we're saying things that we think people like best about ourselves.
Yeah. Be brutally honest. What do you think people like most about you? Adrian?
Me?
No, the other Adrian in the room.
Why do I have
No,
to go
me.
first?
I don't know.
You know the answer.
Yeah, what do you think people like most about you?
I don't know.
Let's
Like,
dig into that.
Should we tell Adrian what we like most about him?
No, that is not the question, Scott. Stop trying to co-opt it.
I don't know. I guess maybe just that, like, I'm easy to be around. Yeah. That's where my head goes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Easy to be around.
I can confirm.
Yeah.
I think you're easy to be around.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if that's the thing I like most about
Ari's
you.
not buying it.
But I don't think that
It is
matters.
true.
I don't think
I don't like that,
I don't
but
think
it
it
is
matters what any of us actually think. It's what you think other people think.
Sure, that's
Sure,
the
yeah.
revealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going
Okay.
with that. How about you, Ari? What's
You're easy to be around. Why do you think you're easy to be around?
Oh wow! Look at that deflection.
It's
He's
not a
still
deflection.
cheap.
It's a dig in. It's not a
easy
deflection.
to
attention.
why do I think I'm easy to be around? I think a lot of it has to do with maybe how I see and view the world. You know, I think I come from a point of trying to understand, I try to listen and I'm curious. I think a lot of it comes from like curiosity, just like being curious about people, being curious about like, why do you think the way you think? Or why are you the way you are? Or just like fascinated by like something that somebody does that I'm not aware of,
Did you always take a step back like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with just like the environment that I grew up in, like trying to understand like, why is the world like this? And I think that kind of carried over into adulthood.
What are
Just
some
like-
things that you thought the world was like when you were young?
When I was young, treacherous, violent, chaotic, unstable. Yeah. I think growing up in an environment like that, I always wanted to understand, like, why is my home like this? Why are these people that are supposed to be raising me like this?
Do you think that a large part of it was you had a natural incongruity with that temperament? Like your first inclination is fairly mild or fairly gentle or friendly or peaceful. And
Yeah.
so they're being quite, I don't know, are you describing them as like almost like soap operatic to the lengths that they would go emotionally?
My parents?
Whoever. I mean, you said the world, but yeah.
Yeah, like not even soap operatic. Like it was like beyond soap operatic. Like extremely violent. Like there's a lot of physical violence, a lot of verbal violence, a lot of drug use, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of like being pulled with, like literally, I remember being pulled between the two of them at like the age of 5, just being like yanked between two parents.
As if they were settling a dispute about where you go.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them was leaving, one of them was staying, and, I was being yanked between the two of them. But yeah, it was like that for a lot of years, like my parents being like off and on, off and on. My dad would leave, come back, leave, come back. But yeah, and it was like very explosive too, like they were both like ticking time bombs. Like they could go off at like any second, and they would, I think the only times that things were calm in my home were during entertainment, like when we were like watching a movie or watching a TV show together. That was when things were like very tame, and I knew that things would be like safe. But anything beyond that, like literally anything could happen. But then, also like being caught in the middle of that, and then also being exposed to things that I shouldn't have been exposed to, like them wanting me to be on their side. So like sharing things about the two of them that were inappropriate. Yeah. So I think growing up in an environment like that, I try to recreate the opposite of that, or environments that are the complete opposite of that. And I tend to gravitate toward environments that are the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, like your rebellious stage was to become as warm and welcoming as humanly possible instead of going the other way, because you're like, well, this is me giving the bird to my parents.
Totally. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What do you think people like the most about you, Ari?
I was a little hung up on the idea of like asking somebody what people like about them and it attaching so neatly to how they grew up that was rough.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too, almost like too striking for my taste. What do I think people like about me? I think people like a certain stubbornness that I have, where in a friendship, I'm always kind of aiming for something a little more honest. And I'm kind of willing to wrestle with them about it. And then I celebrate that. Like I kind of am willing to fight with people about what, like, no, it's not that, is it? It's not that, is it? It's this right here that is genuine between us. And I'm willing to keep being annoying about it. And so the people that like me, I think, like they see that quality in me,
Mm.
that I'm kind of tenacious about it. And I think probably people that really like me, they have like a sympathy for that too. Cause they can see, I think people that kind of get me can see that I'm like sort of stuck that way, that I'm like always arguing with myself and sort of like losing the argument.
Hmm.
I'm like likely to just argue with myself about what I just said.
I mean, I would agree with that in the sense that I feel like you are a very relatable person, and I like that. And also, you ask. I mean, maybe this is the psychologist in you, but you ask people questions about themselves, and it's really lovely. Like you do dig deeper into people, like, and have deep conversations with them, and I really like that.
So Ari, have you always been like that? Like since you were a kid?
Well, it's definitely connected to my abuse.
Per usual. Trauma. Just
Is anything else interesting?
shaped my life.
You know what is what an onerous, tenacious thing about me that is out of step is a belief I have that there was a person worth talking about before the trauma, and a lot of the way that I feel about the way we talk about people in the current period is as almost as if we don't believe that trauma is the way to understand a person. And I probably nobody's going to understand that, but I feel like I hear that all the time. And one of my favorite things about when I was young being kind of implacable as a person was that I remember what I was like sense of humor wise when I was like 2, 3, 4. I felt like a lot of the key ingredients, like the sardonic attitude, were there.
Yeah, same.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's precious to me. And so when people say that there's some sort of if they were to undo what I went through, you would just find somebody that's more like a Care Bear. I don't like that.
Mm.
I don't think that that's true.
But my trauma, I mean, like, not trying to make this about me.
It happens effortlessly.
That's probably part of my trauma.
That's what people like about
I mean,
you.
I did grow up with like a narcissistic grandmother. So
I believe that you were that way before anyone hurt you. That you were already a narcissist.
I experienced trauma.
Beautiful?
I mean, motherfucker,
a natural nurse.
You were
You
born
motherfucker.
self-involved like this.
fuck off and die. How many times am I going to say that in this podcast?
You're not broke. This is who you were meant to be. You're not.
But I mean, like my trauma started like when I was extremely young. So I have no idea what I was like without trauma. So
Fair.
yeah, when do you think that yours started?
Oh, like probably 0.5. I mean, my earliest memories of looking at my mother and seeing that she was not fit to be my mother. And I do still remember some of the nightmares that I had as a little kid.
Ditto.
But in seriousness, I do think the point still stands in the sense that there was a sense of humor, a sensibility, an aesthetic about me and about my siblings and about people that I meet that I just feel is what is beautiful to protect about a person when you meet them. That there's something that, like, I mean, I probably don't really believe in much of anything else being worthwhile. Like, my idea of life is there are going to be a few people that when you die, you remember them, like, as you're blinking out, and those were the important things, and that's it. And everything else is fucking garbage. And I'm kind of tenacious about that because I do feel like what you remember about them is that sort of sense of like who they fundamentally were despite life, because it would be easy if we could adapt. All of this shit would be easy if we weren't quite so obscurely oriented that we go to Japan to feel better. Like we're like so fucking particular in our sensitivity. And I just feel like that's one of the only things that I really even care about. Like when I talk to a client, they have a certain pace that they want me to go at to walk with them. It's not whatever pace I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the other thing people like about me is I do actually change my pace depending on who I'm spending time with. That's the other thing people like about me.
That I was actually pleasantly surprised with that. Not that I thought any other way, but like, you know, like before I got to know you, all I knew was the person who like directed the jams. And you were very much like, you would do bits and you were funny on command. And it was, you know, like you were just always on. But when like I got to know you more, it was more like relaxed and like a softer person. And you were very present, which I really liked.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's another to piggyback off of what Lauren just said. It's just like you're very attentive and very present and very observant. You know, I noticed that.
So are you. You're always leaving an extra beat for trauma. I feel like whenever I'm telling you something, like I could have been like, I had a banana, and then I might make eye contact with you and be like, it was a little unsatisfying. And you're still there. You're right there. Like you would make a good therapist.
Yeah.
Like if you're not done describing the banana, Adrian's like, is there more?
All right, so
Scott, yes, you. Question
Me?
you. Yeah, what do you think people like most about you, Scott?
I feel like I hate this question, but
I'm sorry. Is this a bad
We're
job
going to pause
question?
before answering. Why do you hate the question?
I feel like I have an answer that's not the answer to this question, but it gives way more information like the question is. So I kind of spend too much time worried about what other people think about me. So instead of like thinking that I have a one unifying thing that people like about me, I think of it as more of a fractal thing where it's like, oh, this person likes me for this reason, right? I adjust how I am around other people because I sense that this is what they're going to like or whatever. You know, I catch myself doing that way too much.
That sounds exhausting.
And have to like go like, what is my true non-sponging self,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
But
that sounds exhausting.
yeah.
Why do you say that? Like, does that come from experience that you said that, or
well,
anything like that?
it's an interesting thing. So my sister pointed out to me that one of my cousins, he's a lovely, amazing human being. But at his wedding, he was a slightly different person when he talked to each group of people, because a wedding is very much the people who you care about in your life all coming together, and you never usually see them all at the same time. And so with each group of people, he would change who he was slightly for that group of people. And you could just see the emotional exhaustion on his face from that. And like just a sigh of relief when he came back to just hang out with the family. Like he's just like, ugh.
Yeah, it does feel like apart from like my closest of close relationships, there's always a degree of I'm performing Scot for whatever the audience is, or, you know, and so that by that aspect, it's absolutely exhausting or whatever. But this is how I sort of like formatively became trying to figure out. There was a part in high school where I was like, oh, I'm a person who does good on getting good grades and I can do good book stuff, but I don't know how to do social stuff. And I was like, I need to switch gears and kind of put more emphasis on figuring out how to do like social stuff and figuring out how to fit in more and make friends that way and be able to talk to people. So
I believe, for example, that one of the things that people do is they'll hear an explanation of the self that's like this, and they'll want trauma to be an answer because it makes people uncomfortable that a natural person, that's the natural state of being human.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly believe that the explanation you're giving is the natural, authentic concept of being a person, which is that you ask yourself in a frightening way, how could I be valuable to other people? And so one of the things that I hate the most in a therapeutic setting is someone being sort of like, you need to unlearn that. That's one of your core messages that needs to go. And
like outwardly, people like therapists will say that.
Therapists don't, but I've been in more sort of like, it's more like something you'd hear in a
Like a help group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it is something I have
It's
to
kind of
watch.
evangelical therapeutic stance in a way.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I have to watch, because if I'm talking with someone who has a different accent, there's a real danger that I could start like emulating their speech patterns or what their accent is, just while I'm like playing with it in my mind, not in any sort of a make fun of this person who I'm talking to way, but just like this is just how I start adapting into a situation.
I do that
strange,
too.
you know?
I do that.
But I think
the
that's like
accent
a natural human thing, though.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh, yeah.
to
Hopefully.
show that we care about somebody or that we're interested, we emulate their mannerisms, we emulate their speech patterns. It's kind of just like a natural human recognition
For,
thing.
for most people.
British people do not feel that way.
Listen, the quality of the accent is not necessarily going to sail.
Everyone has to practice. I mean, come on.
There's an uncanny valley aspect that really bothers people. I think I think one thing that's funny is when I hear my voice, I think it sounds like a British person making fun of an American accent. That's if I was going to describe like the quality of my voice, that's what I think it is. This one time, this British guy was like, you guys think it's funny to do our accents. What have you ever heard us do yours? And so then he was just sort of like, can I get a drink of water? Can I have a drink of water?
Yes.
And I was like, oh. Like I was horrified. And then he was like, that's how you sound.
Yeah, whenever
That's how you sound doing us.
whenever
just so
British,
you know.
yeah.
I was like, oh, like someone walking over my grave. Got it. I'll never do it again. But we can so you're the first thing that you would say though, Scott, is that you change.
I change in situations a lot
to support people.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what people like about you.
maybe. I think
You're being
I'm
supportive of people.
Yeah, but I also like whenever I try to drill down on one thing where I'm like, oh, people would like this aspect about me. I'm like, oh, well, hold on. Some people will hate that aspect of me or whatever.
I think a part of what you're saying that I've sensed about you is you have a belief that the real you in some way is really bad.
Probably. I mean, growing up religious, I think that's a thing that gets instilled on many levels, even if they're like, no, but not really. But I mean, that is kind of how this all works. But
yeah, religion is the shame
maybe,
game.
Yeah, yeah. This is my Brene Brown needs. I need to address my shame game over here. But
Brene Brown is not an enemy of the
She's
pod.
a friend of the
She
pod.
is a friend of the
She's
pod.
total
a
friend.
potential suitor
100% a friend
of the pod.
Yeah, she could come and suit all of us.
Best
except
friend
for
of the pod.
I mean, she may not agree that she's a friend of the pod. She may, in fact, respond to the way that we've befriended her by getting a restraining order.
100%.
But we've tried our best.
I mean, Brene Brown, if you're listening, we are not going to approach you physically in any way. We promise. This is all talk. That's why we have a podcast, because we're a bunch of cowards in a room on the floor.
If a beautiful promise was ever made, we are not going to approach you in a physical way.
Yeah, we will lie down in your presence.
So Lauren,
Yeah.
I think you're the last one on this question.
What do I think people like about me?
Yeah.
Let's see. I was gonna read. Oh no, it was on my
She's going to
phone.
answer with something from the bad jar.
Yeah. What do I think people like about me? Is it bad that I've come up with a few things in my head?
Oh.
This just goes on the narcissist thing.
Here's my bullet pointed
Is the thread.
my bulleted point.
Lauren is the caricature of a narcissist on this
She's
podcast.
crab walking over to a scroll of her better qualities.
She's like, all right, we're going to stop this episode. We'll start a new one. It'll be
Right.
just my answer.
I think that one of the things I think people like about me is that I diffuse a lot of situations with humor. I'll use humor to diffuse situations, and it's comforting.
Yeah.
It's a comforting thing when you diffuse serious situations with humor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I use it to my advantage, but I also use it as it's just a natural thing that I do. And I also think that people like that I cook for them. I like to cook for people. So,
Mm.
but that's a very
and those are, and what's interesting about those is those kind of deflect from serious conversation. Like the using humor deflects from a serious conversation a lot of times. And so I tend to not have too many serious conversations with people, which is really interesting. I don't get like deep dive into things unless I feel really safe with them. It takes a lot to feel safe around someone.
Mm-hmm. Like when would you know that it's safe to talk to somebody?
When do I feel like it's safe to talk to somebody? I coming back to trauma. Let's circle back to trauma. When I'm around people who haven't experienced a lot of trauma in their lives, it is difficult for me to talk about who I am because I get sympathy instead of empathy. And it feels like there's a giant wall that gets thrown up between me and this person. And so, if I recently connected with a friend very like strongly with somebody who lost their mother around the same time I did. And it was like an unspoken language that we had around that, where when I mentioned my dead mother, there wasn't somebody in the room being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's just like, all right, yes, you don't have to say, yay, sympathy. Thank you for that. And it took me a long time to realize that, because I used to do like a trauma dump on like everyone I met, like before going through therapy and understanding what that was. I would like trauma dump on people to force them to bond with me, to force them to understand where I'm coming from, as opposed to like finding, things that we can bond, like common interests or something like that.
I think that's one of the hardest things about having unresolved trauma is how engaged almost festively you are in it, and how it makes those positive things kind of pale compared to what the pleasure that you would feel from being more intimate with the wound. I think there's so many people that I've befriended on the basis of my parents and on the basis of going it alone in life, like just that kind of nakedness and the raw emotion of having lived through my 20s with like no support system and a certain amount of guilt and pain that was excruciating. Just wanting to talk to people about pain, I think in a lot of ways it made me this person who was like, what sunny days and good times are so irritating and such a waste of time. So there's a cat murder going on outside the window, and then
Paquita instantly reached for Ari. Ari's cat. Paquita was like, "Daddy, save me!
Protect!
Don't let them get me!"
And I was really, part of what I liked about my last relationship as a celebration was that there was lots of upbeatness in it, and I felt aligned with it. Like I didn't feel that I had some lingering question about the pain of existence that needed to be answered. But until that time happens, there's something festive about I just think that's I guess the nature of wounds is there's something really pleasurable about the pain of a wound in the strangest fashion.
What do you mean by that?
I think there's an ache that you can become accustomed to. Like, this is my familiar source of grounding. My family had a lot of recklessness and kind of cartoon violent way of interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And that makes normal society seem kind of like that thing you said about a neutral face looking at a baby. It made regular interactions about life seem like pranks on me. Like, why aren't we talking about the violence of everything?
Yeah.
but it was hard for me because I was so convinced that was just me being perceptive. And then I realized as I got older and I received therapeutic progress that I could walk on the beach and be like, this is a nice beach. It didn't seem that there was something unfinished.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a weird thing I can do.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Please.
And this segment is called Ari Does Weird Shit on...
And then back to trauma.
On a microphone.
Which, by the way, in the middle of talking about childhood trauma, you did mention the name of sex tapes. And we hit the golden...
Which one was it?
We hit the golden combo of porn and childhood trauma that is this pod's true reason for living.
That's our true base. That's our root.
Bring it back home.
Yep, that is our root. Porn and trauma.
Did you finish your things that you think that people like you for?
Oh, well, yeah, the humor, and then like, I'm a good host, and I like being a good host.
Oh.
But yeah, the humor thing is who I am.
I also think you're passionate.
What do you mean by that?
I think there's a certain... It's interesting, like, how would I describe passion if I had to, like, not use the word? I think a certain amount of energy is ahead of you that you have to rein back in.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah. I get very excited about certain things. And yeah, I do have to, it's funny that you say that. When I first learn something, I get real excited about it and get a little too into it. And then once I learn how to actually do it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can relax now. It happened with improv. It happened with hockey. It happened with a lot of things, like new things that I learned. It happened with making art, like a lot of things that I learned later on in life as an adult. I noticed it. I mean, I'm sure it probably happened when I was a kid too, but I have a confidence about things that I'm a little good at, and I like cling on to it. And I think that my confidence helps me propel into being better at it and wanting to learn how to actually do it properly.
I think passionate people often live with a sense of responsibility for being, maybe even guilt for being like too much, like being on team too much. But on the flip side, I think people who tend to hold back, like myself, we can't ever say enough like how much we rely on people that are too much to like break us out of our shell or like take us to new places, make the kind of mistakes that make life interesting. Like, I have owed a lot to people that I could have easily made feel guilty for not having good boundaries, when in actuality they were people that like really like made me feel like there was something still left that was spicy about life in a world that, I mean, frankly, is just often quite drab.
Yeah. It's funny because I do feel very jaded about the world, but if I find something that I truly love, I will go like all in on it. Like a podcast with my friends.
Do you feel passionate most of the time dancing? Do you?
Most of the time. There are times when I'm just like, I don't want to be here right now. But
and
like,
do you tether yourself to those people in the troupe in a way energetically who are like naturally passionate?
Yeah.
You have to, right?
Totally. Yeah. There's people on my team that really bring that out in me, where I get more playful and more silly and not like take it so seriously. But also when I first, like, as you had mentioned, with any passion, like I dive headfirst into it as well. With dance, when I was introduced to it at like, I don't know, 31, 32, like head first, like I put so much time into getting good at it.
Yeah.
You know, like a ridiculous amount of time. And yeah, I just got lost in it. And it's something that I continue to do for like 9 years now.
Wow. That's so awesome. Ari, Thanks for giving us the prompt to find some questions to ask.
I hated this.
Yeah, you hated this
You
episode.
hated this process.
I guarantee you, after how uncomfortable I was during the third episode and how much it was my favorite episode, that as soon as this is edited and revealed to me, it will be my new favorite episode because this has been the worst. Fuck all of you.
I love you. Fuck you. What was a show that shaped your childhood, Adrian?
The show that shaped
that you loved as
Wait.
child. What?
Were we done talking about the traumas? Were we going to wrap up the episode? Because this feels like a whole. I think we could talk about shows that were pivotal to us for a whole. Like, I think we could actually do a show that shaped you episode.
Yeah,
totally.
Put that question in the good jar.
Jesus. For our listeners, I'm staring at the 2 jars sitting next to me like I want to smack them.
Lauren's had it. It's the end of the night. Baby needs to go to bed.
All right.
Bye.
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 Peace.